Good afternoon. Welcome to Mike and the Hoss on Wolfeboro Community Television. I'm Mike Danais.
And I'm Charlie Hossack.
Coach, we're in between sports. We talked about that before. We got a
Yep.
couple weeks because of COVID. The seasons have spread out a little bit more.
They are.
But practices, informal practices, are going to be starting in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and actually some are actually starting this week. They have some of the informal, like off-season stuff for like
Yep.
soccer, weight room, conditioning, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's going on.
So, fingers crossed, it's going to be touch and go. It
Yeah.
really is going to be touch and go.
It's definitely day by day.
Some of the colleges we've seen have shut down. Ivy League shut down their winter sports.
Yeah. And they won't. I mean, they're not even talking about spring sports until maybe April.
Yeah.
I think.
So it's
Who knows?
it's rough. We talked about last week. Talked about the high school football. A lot of forfeits and cancellations because of unfortunate COVID exposure.
Right.
Not that there's
Yeah.
ever fortunate COVID exposure, but
Right.
just kind
Yeah.
of you
It
played
happened,
in a-
and then you find out someone was positive. Then you had to quarantine, and then cancel the events.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just, one of the things I was thinking about, looking at ourselves on the TV screen. It's so funny because all we do now is wear masks, and I haven't seen faces in quite some time without a mask.
So everybody knows we're teachers.
Yeah.
We go out for mask breaks. I'm sure you do too. The
Yeah,
kids
we
still
do
want to go
mask
outside,
breaks.
even though it's pretty
Yeah.
cold. Kids take off their masks, and I don't recognize
It's
them.
so.
I'm
It's
just
I was gonna say
wow,
the same thing. Like
that's you.
I'm teaching little guys now, and for the longest time, that you see the mask, and this is pretty much
Yeah.
all you see. And it's wild. They take their mask off, and you got to do a double take. Like,
Yeah.
who is this? A new kid?
It's
Yeah.
it's so weird.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It's working though. We're still teaching, still going to school.
Still going to school. Other schools are starting
Yeah.
to, but
Yeah.
the Governor Wentworth plan, the hybrid model seems to be still going. Seems to be working.
And I think Governor Wentworth has done a great job.
Yeah. And the longer we stay in, the better.
I agree.
Even if it's hybrid, even if it's a couple days a week, and then the remote stuff, it's working because these schools, the other schools that are shutting down, are the ones that went full.
Yeah.
And so now, there's just too many cases. They don't have that hybrid model to back up on.
Right.
We always
Yeah.
have this hybrid model. We can go full, which obviously we're not going to go full anytime soon.
Right.
Where these other schools didn't have that
Right.
backup plan. So,
And if we have to go remote, we can do it for a shorter period of time and then come back into the hybrid.
right,
So, which is good.
right. So right now it seems like
It's
Governor
working.
Wentworth. Yeah.
And coming up next week, right? We've got Thanksgiving coming up.
Thanksgiving.
I would say you got any plans that I already know the answer. It's going to be low key, like same with us. Very low key. We're not traveling or anything like that.
Did you see the Canadian Canadian Thanksgiving? They had theirs already.
I saw the graph.
Did you see the graph?
I mean, that was like the spike went. Just
Pretty
like that.
pretty scary.
Yeah.
And so hopefully everybody's kind of, because that could really derail school, as if there's a spike around here because of the Thanksgiving
Because of
holiday.
Thanksgiving, and then-
it's a difficult decision. I'm dealing with my mother right now and my wife's mother,
Yeah.
where they're both alone because our fathers had passed a while ago,
Right.
and they're nervous. They don't want to be around people, but they also
Sure.
don't want to be alone at Thanksgiving because
Right.
they feel like they only have a certain number of Thanksgivings left.
Right.
So it's a balancing act.
I know a lot of the, and I'm sure you'll do the same, with Zoom and Skype and, FaceTime. You can at least bring them into the family for the day. I know it's not the same, but at least you could still have those connections.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna have my mother come over.
Yep.
And we're gonna put some precautions. We might be in masks. We might do masks.
Hey, if that's what you gotta do.
and just spread
Yeah.
everything out. And if we don't have 15 people at Thanksgiving dinner, we could spread everybody out and do something like that. Possibly, if the weather's good, we're gonna start a fire outside and be outside.
I mean, that's perfect. Yeah, do that.
so-
I noticed that I haven't received an invitation. So, not even for dessert? No dessert, nothing. Coffee?
COVID. I gotta.
Well, we are our own cohort right
Yeah,
here, right?
but
Our own bubble.
Me and you, but
Yeah,
I don't want you getting my mother sick.
I don't want to get your mother sick either,
Okay, so
but I could come stand by the fire.
you could do that. You
All
could
right.
do that. If we're outside, you're
I'll
in.
stand by the fire and you guys will be inside. All right. What, we got any sports talk?
We do. So let's talk local youth hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we mentioned it last week. We did it on the radio.
Yep.
But they have just declared that New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maine, and New Jersey.
I knew that was going. And New Jersey.
And New Jersey.
Yeah.
We're not worried about Rhode Island, Connecticut, or New York. We're just going to skip right over to New
Oh,
Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
Cannot have any interstate play
Right.
of youth hockey.
So for us, it's New Hampshire only.
New Hampshire only, and so New Hampshire started a COVID league.
They call it the COVID League?
The COVID League, yeah.
All right.
They started a COVID league, and
How does that work?
Basically, it's just all the New Hampshire teams playing each other.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's nothing.
Yeah, just obviously based on age.
But they're saying that the league is the league because of COVID, so they're calling it a COVID league.
Okay.
They're doing what they can to keep everybody in. My son plays out of Hooksett right now, and we don't know the way that his situation is on this team. We don't know there's a game until Thursday or Friday of that weekend, because it's basically, let's get to the end of the weekend. Who's healthy and not quarantining?
Right.
Let's go play you.
Now, if I go to I can't go to the game, but
you cannot.
If I were to observe a game from afar, like on Live Barn at Hooksett, are the same precautions in Hooksett the same precautions in Nashua? Per rink, or is there like a state say here are the guidelines, or do rinks make their own guidelines?
No, the state did put out guidelines, and I believe so. Originally, the state put out some general guidelines. This is at the beginning of the year, and then the rinks kind of dealt with those guidelines in their own way.
Right.
When the state shut down hockey for a couple weeks, then they put in their stricter guidelines. It was like 13 pages of guidelines.
Okay.
You know, for instance, one family member per player can go watch the game.
Gotcha.
Masks on the bench. You know, so like Will has a gator that he uses now, and so
he does a shift. He comes off, puts the gator on,
puts the gator up,
and then he hops back on the ice.
Yeah.
Just pull her down.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit better. But you know, high school, they're still playing with high school and what exactly they're going to do. We saw Mr. House sent out something last week that everybody has to be wearing masks now.
Right.
Any kind of sports activity, masks. There's no taking them off for practice, strenuous activities, or anything like that, because that was one of his pushes, that for strenuous activities, he thought that masks were dangerous. Well, there's masks before strenuous activities.
Right.
You know, so maybe do less strenuous activities and wear the mask. But you can wear, in hockey, you can wear a shield, a glass shield, and not have a mask on. So, but the glass shield has holes in it. It's just, some of, we've said this before.
Yeah.
Some of the COVID rules are not consistent.
Right.
Or not well thought out.
Yeah. Yeah. You can use this. You can't use that. But I do know, like, and we talked about this probably, the girls and boys hockey teams for Kingswood have purchased these.
Yeah, they don't work.
Okay, you've already seen them?
I've seen them. Anybody that I saw use them took them off after 2 minutes. So the problem is that, so a kid's mask is out here.
Yeah.
They attach to the mask. And so...
So when you're saying mask, are we talking about just the open cage?
The open cage,
yeah.
And so they're out by the mask. They're out by the shield, so they're protecting any kind of spit. Well, in hockey, a lot of your success is about your peripheral vision.
Yeah.
You know, what you see down below, what you see off to the sides. Well, I mean, you're blocked here. This is what you're seeing, and so you can't look down at the puck.
It's almost like a horse in a horse race. Like, they can only see in front of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you can't really stick handle the puck. So anybody that has had them on has had to take them off because you can't look down. It becomes a safety issue because to look down at the puck, you're really looking down now.
Now your head's down, and that's unsafe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I think that we'll play with them some more.
Yeah.
And see if we can get them closer to the face.
Well, it seems. What about you said with the gator? So like we'll use Will as an example. That seems to be working a lot better.
Gator works a lot better because it's against. It's against your
so it's
face.
not gonna. You can still see and do your stick handling.
I saw in the NFL some guys were wearing gaiters while they were playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also noticed a lot of players now have in the NFL the shield.
Yeah.
The glass shields, and on top of that a gator. They're trying to be safe. But you want to be able to perform out there.
Right.
So, and putting out a high school kid with the inability to stick handle during a hockey game,
with their head down.
Right. How quickly is they going to take that off?
Yeah. Right.
But that's youth hockey. Otherwise than that, basically the COVID protocols are being enhanced even more.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But as long as, I don't say as long as, with the hope that we could still get out on the ice or the basketball court.
Yeah. And I hope, and I've said this before, but the indoor sports, the ones we have to worry about. I'm hoping with the skiing, Alpine and Nordic and those events, I'm hoping those will be able to go off without a whole lot of hiccups. It seems like with alpine skiing, you can ride a chairlift solo. You can still wear a mask. You'd want to wear a mask.
You wear a mask anyway in that.
Yeah, and that it seems like it's much easier to obviously social distance when you're outside.
Right, and you're not huffing and puffing necessarily like you are on a basketball court or an ice rink.
Or I mean, you would be with Nordic, but at the same time, it's kind of like cross-country running other than you can stagger the starts, and then, usually when you're out on the course,
But
you're
you're right.
You're not in packs.
But you're wearing masks anyway. Masks
Yeah.
are actually part of your regular routine
uniform,
out
yeah.
there. So fingers crossed. That's what we've been saying since last spring.
I know.
You know.
I feel. Do you get a feeling? Are you feeling? I'll tell you how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like we're starting all over again. Like it's March and April of last year. Like that's where we're heading.
If you watch the news, we are.
I know. I try not to watch the news. I mean, there's a lot of, for me, it's like a lot of scare tactics with it. But I'm just generally feeling that that's kind of where we're at. What was the little smirk about?
The little scare tactics.
Well,
it's the news.
Okay.
We need a little fear in this because
we do need
people
a
are
fear.
dying.
I agree. We need fear, but I don't think we need to. I think there needs to be some goodness provided in the news because there's still a lot of good that happens out there, and we don't seem to be getting a lot of good.
No, I don't think we've gotten a lot of good for a few years.
Yeah.
But the hospitals are getting full again,
and they're getting ready, and they're starting to build their field hospitals. And
yes, and
for their overflow and all that. Yeah, I agree.
I am somebody that believes that when you are out in public that you should be wearing a mask.
Yeah. Well, your old hometown, Berlin, they have a mask mandate.
They did because, for the longest time up there, they were saying, "Oh, it's not coming up here. We're okay. We're good. We're good." And then, boom, they get overwhelmed. Schools shut down. The schools actually started back up this week.
Yeah.
But the schools shut down for a while. Nursing homes, people are, are passing up there. It's pretty scary, and it's an older population up there too. Mm-hmm. It's I think it's a little bit of fear, so people take this stuff seriously. I read a tweet from a restaurant owner, and he said shutdowns are not hurting the restaurant industry. COVID is hurting the industry.
Right.
It's not the shutdowns. We got to get rid of the virus before we move on. There is good news though this week. You'll talk about good news.
Yeah, I want to talk about good news.
Well, the vaccines.
Yeah, right. They're saying it's 95% effective.
And I don't know what the flu vaccine, what percentage of effectiveness the flu vaccine has, but 95 is pretty good. It's interesting that the temperature differentiations between the two that have come out.
Yeah, I saw that.
That one can be stored at what they like a regular freezer,
yeah.
and the other one needs to be special dry ice and things like that.
Yeah, bring it down to
But as I guess we're in the second wave, as teachers, we're going in the second wave of getting the vaccine supposedly.
Yeah. And so the first wave would be like first responders, nurses, doctors.
Yeah, and so then we're the second wave, and there are a whole, maybe by March, and then the general population by sometime April, May. Not that we're not general population, but you know what I mean.
But I know what you're saying.
But
meaning those that once you go first responders and then.
But this could mean a summer.
That'd be awesome.
This could mean a summer. This could mean a spring sports season, a normal spring sports season.
Right. This could mean our kids that are going to college or are in college will have a normal experience next year.
Right.
Which would be awesome.
This is really good news.
We could get all of our kids, all of our students back in school.
There is some good news out there, and I think a vaccine is, but this is still at peak, and we've got to.
I don't even think we're at peak. I think we're getting up. I think it's still, but
that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Governor Sununu said he expected 1,000 a day within a couple weeks.
Like post Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. So that's your COVID update.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that, Mike in the Haas. Talking COVID.
Let's other talk.
Yeah.
So let's go. Red Sox. There isn't much happening unless you heard of something. I didn't really hear any movement this week.
No, not a whole lot.
The Celtics. So today. It's 4:46 on Tuesday. Gordon Hayward has 14 minutes to opt out.
He does.
And when I came in, he had not opted out yet.
I don't think he's gonna opt out.
So it's gonna be like a sign and trade type of thing.
Because I don't think he's not gonna give up that money. He's making a lot of money.
$34 million this year.
Yeah, that's oh my gosh. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine.
No,
but he's making a lot of money, so I don't think he's going to be opting out.
So does that mean the Celtics are going to? Patriots might trade him.
Yeah.
That they are going to still try and trade him, because all indications, and one of my story things here is that Boston has a problem.
Yeah.
And I think I was going to use this as the opening take on the radio. Boston has a problem. Players don't want to play here.
Yeah, they don't. We talked a little bit about this before.
So we're going to do a segment on this at some point.
I want to go up. I don't want to interrupt. I'm going to say this. I think Gordon Hayward, come December 22nd, when the season opens, is a Celtic.
Wow.
I think he is.
Well, he's going to be a begrudging Celtic at this point.
Yeah. Did you read that? Did you see the article? One of the articles is that he felt betrayed by the Celtics.
Yes.
Gordon Hayward felt
Yeah,
betrayed.
I did see that.
So I don't know.
So let's keep it about the Celtics.
Yeah,
We've busted on Kyrie Irving.
we did. I think legitimately.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it's legitimate,
Yeah.
but he wanted to leave. Al Horford, great
Yeah.
Celtic.
Yeah.
He was a great Celtic for when he was here.
Mhm.
He had the opportunity to stay.
Yeah.
He took the same amount of money that the Celtics were basically offering him,
Yeah.
and he went to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Not a good move for Al.
No, but
But he wanted to get out of Boston. Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
All indications are Gordon Hayward he's playing for a coach that he played for before.
Mm-hmm.
He likes the system, but now he reports that he wants to get out.
Yeah.
What's going on in that locker room? And they can't get a free agent to come.
I mean, is it the Celtics locker room specific, or is it the city of Boston?
Well-
Does it have that?
So I want to talk about Celtics locker room specific.
Okay.
All the guys that put on their trade request teams that they get traded to, like Harden and Westbrook,
Yeah.
Boston's not on there.
No.
Now, Boston is a team that has been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Has good, if not great, young talent.
They do.
Has a coach that is a quote-unquote players coach.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he's not a
Yeah.
pop or anything
Yeah.
like that. He's
Yeah.
pretty amicable to the players.
Has a great GM
Has a GM that has good relationships with the
with the
players.
players. Yeah.
Has a very good fan base.
Mm-hmm. A great fan base, great
Okay.
facility.
So why doesn't anybody want to play in Boston?
I don't know. Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's something that we need to get to the
We need to
bottom of this
explore.
here. And getting to your other piece is that maybe it's not just the Celtics. Maybe it is a Boston issue.
It might be a Boston issue.
I think we talked about it over the summer. I'm not positive, but we talked about the Red Sox, and there were some racial things that, with the fans in center field. Maybe we never
Sure.
got to it.
Yeah.
But Torrey Hunter had tweeted out some stuff.
Yeah. That he said, there were some racists out there and racist comments.
And the Red Sox tweeted back, Torrey Hunter's correct. This did happen,
Yeah.
and we are trying to deal with it.
Yeah.
And Torrey Hunter gave back hearts and much love and all that kind of stuff because he appreciated that the Red Sox acknowledge it.
Acknowledge, yeah.
That doesn't solve the problem. Mookie Betts took less money, more money, around the same amount of money,
Yeah.
ultimately in Los Angeles than the Red Sox had offered him.
Right.
David Price hated it here. Now, we hated David
Well,
Price.
we don't like David Price.
But
so-
David Price hated it here. John Lackey was not a big fan of playing here.
Mhm.
Josh Beckett was not a big fan of playing here.
Right.
I'm just, going off names that I could say. I mean, there are exceptions that really enjoy playing.
Pedro Martinez loved playing here.
David Ortiz loved playing here.
Yeah. Manny Ramirez loved playing here.
Did he?
He did.
Okay.
That's what he said.
All right. Dustin Pedroia
Of course.
loves
Yeah.
playing here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's
there
obviously
are exceptions,
exceptions.
but it just seems that lately, over the past, Tom Brady left. Tom Brady wanted to get out of town.
Yeah.
Now, we think that's more about Belichick than anything else.
Right.
But he still wanted to
He
get out of
wanted to
town.
get
A
out.
place where he could have, as far as the town, if he would have run for political office, he would have won, no matter what side
Tom
of the
Brady,
aisle he
yeah.
was.
That's true.
And no matter what side he was,
Yeah.
he was going to win.
Do you think it has to do with, if you just look at, and I'm a huge Boston fan as far as the city of Boston and that. I mean, I grew up in northern Massachusetts, but is it because it's just Boston doesn't have things that Miami has, or we say LA has? It doesn't have the beach. It doesn't have the sun. It doesn't have warm weather. It doesn't have a great nightlife for these young players.
That's been kind of my thing, that Miami and Los Angeles would be the number one destinations.
Yeah.
Harden put down Philadelphia as one of his destinations that he went, and Brooklyn
Yeah.
as one of the places that he wanted to go.
Yeah. I would consider those like cool cities though. Like go to Philly.
You don't think so? You think Philadelphia is cooler than Boston?
I don't think that. But if you're not, but I'm biased. I'm from Massachusetts.
But I think Boston has a better winning tradition than Philadelphia does.
Oh, I agree.
I think the fan bases are comparable. Philadelphia's fan base is a little bit rabid at times.
Yeah.
But so is Boston's.
But so is Boston, and Philly fans are totally into it. And Brooklyn. Brooklyn's New York. Brooklyn's cool.
why wouldn't Harden put down Boston? Brooklyn I get because that's New York.
Yeah.
You know, it's that New York thing. Didn't put down the Knicks though. But that you get the New York thing.
Right.
And there's a Durant connection. Because Harden and Durant played with each other in Oklahoma.
Right.
So they wanted to get together again. And I don't want to get into that. We don't have a lot of time, but
so maybe it's a Boston the city thing. Plus, I mean, if you look back, I mean, there is an elephant in the room. I mean, Boston, as far as if you go back historically, I mean, they were like the last to segregate with segregation, and there's a history of racism in Boston looking back into the 50s and before that. I mean, it's got a black eye, legitimate black eye, and you would think that things have changed, but you know, maybe they haven't. You hear these comments about Tory Hunter and all that.
I think there's still a racist segment of our population that has reared its ugly head lately.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I think that has happened, and it's.
I mean, let me ask you a question. If you are, you're a Celtics player, okay, and you had the opportunity to go anywhere to play next year, where would you go? Would you stay a Celtic because?
Am I a superstar?
Yeah, of course you are. You're Mike Danais, superstar. I mean,
all right,
amazing.
so I can go anywhere
you
I
can pretty
want.
much go anywhere you want.
And the teams are relatively equal?
Well, you have to take into consideration, the teams are equal. You want to win a championship, and the Celtics are this close to winning a championship.
I completely disagree with you.
Okay.
I think the Celtics are a lot farther away than that.
Just the Celtics are this close to winning a championship based on the past 4 seasons, how close they are. Okay. We're not talking about a team that doesn't make the playoffs. And I understand that with Celtics, we need to talk about what are their needs and what do they have to do to be able to win a championship. But they're that close, Mike.
Okay. So I am a superstar player.
Yeah.
And I have Boston, Miami.
You have every team you want.
I'm just going to name a few just so for...
You can go to Oklahoma if you want.
Nope. I'm going to go... I have Boston, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Miami, San Antonio, Golden State, Los Angeles, Clippers, or...
Yeah, go wherever you want in L.A.
Yeah, and I'm going to Miami.
Okay.
I'm going to Miami.
You like the lifestyle, South Beach.
I'm 24 years old.
Yeah.
I'm making millions and millions of dollars.
Yep.
I'm going to Miami. I'm going to spend my money. I'm gonna get the boat. I'm gonna get the yacht. I'm gonna do that.
Get the mansion.
I'm not gonna get the big parka. I'm gonna get the. I am. I'm gonna do that, and I'm absolutely gonna do that.
Yeah. You're not gonna get the heated driveway. To melt your snow.
No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not.
Yeah.
Jason Veritek had one of those, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Lived in Newton.
That's cool.
Jason Veritek, when he was living in Newton, blizzard, 3 feet of snow.
Yeah.
His driveway was clean as could be.
Because it was a heated driveway.
A heated driveway.
Oh, you make that kind of money. That's what you'd have to do.
So, but I mean, Boston's pretty low on my list, and so if I was going to order them, I would say, all things being equal, Miami, Los Angeles, Golden State. And then I would work my way back up into the Northeast.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. That's what they're doing.
And it's a problem. It is a problem that today's culture is, especially with media and social media and followers and all this other kind of stuff.
Right.
Your brand is more important than your team.
Right.
And you can get your brand built better at these destinations. And Boston, Philadelphia. I mean, Brooklyn, even though that they're next to New York and stuff like that, and they have a little advantage over Boston just because of that, they're still struggling. And the same thing with the New York Knicks. Who wants to go play in New York?
Yeah.
Because it's a Northeast city, and I think the Northeast has some problems with that.
Yeah.
So
I noticed you didn't mention Toronto. So.
No, I didn't mention Toronto. But
Milwaukee. Milwaukee's got a good shot at winning the NBA championship next year.
If Giannis stays.
Yeah.
If they don't trade Giannis.
Yeah.
I mean, they picked up Drew Holiday, which you put on here. And, again, that was, the Celtics were after him. Yeah. All right. Let's go to some Patriots talk because we're really we took a long time on that. But I think
it was good. I think we needed to, though.
Well, I think that is something that is deserving of more talk.
I think so, too. I'd like to hear other people's thoughts. Why do players not want to come to Boston, or why do players not want to stay once they're here?
Yeah, and you can tweet us at Mike and the Hoss if you have to, or you can call on the radio at 4:30 on Fridays, WASR 569-5253.
Very good, or 569 Lake. All right, Celtics. I mean Bruins. I mean no Patriots. I'm going to name every New England team we have. The New England Revolution. Yeah, okay. All right, the Patriots.
Biggest win in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, biggest win in the last 2 years, because I don't think they had a big win last year. They beat the teams that they were supposed to beat, even though they started 8-0. They were an awful 8-0.
They were terrible. They're the worst 8-0 team ever.
They had the biggest win that they've had in 8 years. Question: they beat Baltimore the other night by 6. How much was that weather related?
I think a lot of it was weather related because you had to keep the ball on the ground. And the Patriots proved they have a great offensive line.
They do.
And they also proved that they have one of the best running backs in the NFL, in Damian Harris.
He's starting to look that way. Do you remember a few years ago the Patriots went down to Baltimore, heavily favored? Baltimore was struggling at the time. It was a monsoon.
Yeah.
And you remember the last drive the Patriots had? It was rain sideways, and they ended up losing the game.
Yeah.
The script was flipped.
Yeah.
In that. And
totally.
The same thing. Good weather, I'm not sure if they win that game. Although the Patriots played much more conservative than maybe they even wanted to. You know, so it did work into it. I thought Baltimore was poorly coached in that game.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't like Harbaugh.
I'm not a big fan of Harbaugh,
Yeah.
but I thought that it seemed to me that Lamar Jackson regressed a little bit. They had guys on defense that weren't even trying. They had receivers that were yelling and screaming to get the ball more.
Yeah.
Baltimore has some issues, but the Patriots showed up to play. Things that I was excited about. Their defense was fast. They didn't have the old slow guys out there.
No.
They had young fast guys out there that you didn't even know their names before. They pulled them off the practice squad. Said, "You're fast, you go play."
Yep.
And those guys played.
Yeah.
And
well, they're playing for their life, really, essentially. They want to get a contract. Yeah.
Damian Harris, obviously. Jacoby Myers continues to do everything. Rex Burkhead had a great game. Cam Newton did not lose the game.
No.
You know, he did enough to held on to the ball. So they have a lot of things going. My point on this game, though, is that I think that this is the kind of game. You know, we were giving them the hard time that they only beat the Jets by
3 points.
3 points.
Yeah.
And we were giving them a hard time about that.
Right.
I think that they're going to play everybody like this because that's the kind of team that they have.
Yeah.
They don't have a high-flying team.
Right.
So when they play Houston this week, it's going to be a 1 or 2 possession game, and it's going to go either way.
Go either way. Yeah.
Because that's the type of team they have. They're not going to blow anybody out.
Right.
They don't have that kind of offense. You know, it was 2 minutes left in the second quarter, and they got their 3rd possession of the game.
Right.
It was amazing. It was. I mean, it really was. Did Stephon Gilmore play in this game?
No, he did not play.
Okay.
Yeah, did not play. He was he ruled out right before, a little before the game.
So J.C. Jackson then had a comeback game.
Yeah.
He had a pick.
So what is that? Is that his 5th pick?
I don't know. He has had more picks in
5 games. It's like his 5th pick in 5 games.
But he's had more picks. 14th pick in his career.
Yeah.
And he's been playing for a year and a half.
It's crazy.
So the guy is a ball hawk.
Yeah.
He had a terrible game against the Jets.
Yeah.
But he rebounded. Chase Winovich, awesome game. He rebounded also because he was on the end of the bench for Belichick for a while. Because remember he hit his boy Jimmy.
Yep.
And you're going to sit down, and he was giving him a hard time. And they seem to have mended, and he did his job. He set the edge. We know Belichick's so big on setting that edge,
right.
And he did that. And they did a lot of cool things, that weren't exotic.
No,
they weren't exotic.
Let me talk about the most exotic was the Jacoby Myers.
No, I'm saying on defense.
Oh, defensively,
on defense.
Okay.
Carl Davis. I think his name's Carl Davis. The new nose guard that they have now.
Yeah.
Huge. If you go back to all the Patriots teams that were successful, they always had that big nose guard.
The big dude.
They really did. You go back all the way to the 2001 season where they had Ted Washington.
Yeah.
And then, help me out. He ended up signing with Houston, Miami guy.
Big dude.
Not McGinnis. Oh God, I can't believe it.
It'll come to us.
Darn it.
I'll check
he was
the
there
phone.
for 10 years.
Yeah, I know.
10 years. He was a great Patriot.
I'll check it. You keep talking.
So they had him, and then they had I've got no names.
We're really good here with the names.
Yeah.
Let's just pull it up. Thanks to technology.
What are you typing in?
Pat's nose guards. Vince Wilfork.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Vince Wilfork was like
we forget Vince.
I
know.
But anyway, so that's been the hallmark of the Pats defense is they could do that, then they can bring guys in around them and they can get a little bit. But they have to have that guy that's stuff in the middle that's on top of the center and covering that center, and it makes a big difference for them. It really does. So anyway, Harris is for real. For real. Young guys on D, and I guess we covered everything.
No, we didn't cover everything because you're saying 10-6. They're going to end up 10-6.
Yeah, I don't know where their losses. I figure they're going to get tripped up at some point. It might be this week against Houston. It could be against the Jets next time.
Yeah, look at the. So I pulled the schedule up here.
All right,
So they got the Texans this week.
I'm going to call it a win.
All right. Then they have the Cardinals.
That's at home or in Arizona?
They're at home.
Win.
Then they have the Chargers at the Chargers.
Loss.
Okay. Then they have the Rams at the Rams.
Win.
Then they got the Dolphins at home. Excuse me, they got the Dolphins in Miami.
Win.
And then they have the Bills at home.
Win.
And then the Jets.
Win.
At home.
So
yeah.
but I would say that they could lose every one of those games too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The way that they play, if things, an untimely turnover, a bad penalty, a PI down the stretch,
right,
they could lose those games too. They're not playing with a lot of wiggle room.
Right. And it was a good weekend for the Patriots because Buffalo lost as well, which was great.
What a game that was.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What a game that was. I hope that derails Buffalo for a little while.
Yeah.
They seemed, before the Hail Mary, I told my son, we were watching that game, and I says, Buffalo's charmed this year. Watch out, because charmed teams are dangerous.
Yeah.
And they were charmed against the Patriots. They were charmed against Seattle, and they were definitely charmed, up until that Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Maybe the
charm has worn off.
All right. Power rankings.
All right. So we still have the Steelers at 9-0 are still there.
We're gonna have to talk about the Steelers going undefeated. We're going to have to talk about that at some point.
I'm not ready.
Okay. But that is going to have to be a topic of conversation.
We'll talk about it. We still have the Chiefs at 8-1, and then you got the Saints and the Bills, and the Bucks all with 7 wins. And then you have a whole bunch of teams that are 6-3.
All right, you go first. Number one.
Number one, I'm going to go with Kansas City Chiefs.
I am going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs also.
Who do you have for number 2?
You got to go with the Steelers.
Yeah, I'll go with the Steelers as well for number 2. And then 3.
I'm going to go to the Packers.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Bucks. Tampa Bay had a much better game, and I believe in Tom Brady.
Okay. In defense of not picking the Bucks, Carolina was missing like 6 of their best players. So I think the Bucks are the kind of team that's going to beat up on crappy teams.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to play great against good teams. They did play against the Packers, played well against the Packers, I believe, right? We saw what happened with New Orleans. Did you see how injured Drew Brees is?
Oh my gosh, broken ribs,
collapsed
lung. I like Drew Brees.
And it wasn't violent. The other guy got a penalty for it, but
yeah,
he was falling off of him. It wasn't. Yeah. I thought the lineman did what he was supposed to do. But they were saying that one of those broken ribs may have been from the previous week.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he's hurting. All right.
We do our picks.
Let's do the picks, and then we have a game.
Then we're gonna play a game.
Cardinals at Seahawks.
All right, Cardinals at Seahawks.
By the way, I'm 3-2. You were 2-3.
Yes, I saw that.
Okay.
3-2, 2-3.
Yeah.
Once again, risk taker. Cardinals at Seahawks. I'm going with the Seahawks.
I'm going Cardinals on that one. Seahawks have looked bad the last 3 weeks.
Okay. Dolphins at Broncos.
I'm going to say Broncos. I think this is when the Dolphins finally get tripped up. The Dolphins have been playing well, but they, again, it's their special teams, it's their defense scoring. Tua has been serviceable, but I think they're going to get tripped up.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Broncos as well because it's at Denver. Packers at Colts.
Colts are pretty darn scary.
They are. Colts are 6-3.
6-3. They've been playing some pretty good football.
Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah,
I mean that's awesome.
Phillip Rivers is doing what he has to do.
Yeah.
They have a good running game. They have a great defense.
You going with the Colts?
I am going to go with the Packers.
Okay. Hey, thanks for putting that all out there. I am going to take the Packers as well.
Chiefs at Raiders.
Chiefs at Raiders.
Now, the Raiders already beat the Chiefs in Kansas City.
Which is the Chiefs' only loss.
Yes.
So I'm going all in with Kansas City Chiefs.
I am too. I think the Raiders are in a lot of trouble in that game. That thing could be 35-0 by the end of the first quarter.
Yeah. And then Patriots at Texans. Both of us are going to take the Patriots.
We are.
So the only thing we disagree on this week is Cardinals at Seahawks.
Okay.
So I'm taking the Seahawks or taking the Cardinals.
All right. We'll see what happens.
All
All right, John, hit us. Top 5 NFL kickers, total points.
right, top 5 NFL kickers, total points. So what does that mean, Jonathan? That they've scored the most points through field goals and PATs? Okay. I have no idea. I love Jonathan's games though. These are great.
Are we starting with number 5? Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I think we're starting with number 5. Boy.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Steven Gostkowski.
I am going to go with Adam Vinatieri. Who is it?
John Carney.
John Carney. That was my next pick.
All right. Number 4, I'm going to go George Blanda.
I am going to go with Steven Gostkowski. Who is it? Jason
Hansen.
Hansen. I need to get my eyes checked.
I guess
Jason
so.
Hansen. All right.
Number 3, I'm going to go with George Blanda.
I'm going to go with Mason Crosby.
Oh.
Who is it? Gary Anderson.
You really do need your eyes checked.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, I'm going to go with Steven Gostkowski.
I'm going to go with Mason Crosby.
Mort
Morton. How do we not know Mort?
Number 1,
Morton Anderson.
Adam Vinatieri.
Adam Vinatieri. Yes. That was a tie.
That was interesting because,
Yeah.
I mean, I know of Morton Anderson. I know of Gary Anderson. I kind of remember John Carney.
Are Morton and Gary related?
I don't know.
I don't think so because it's an O and an E. I can see that. So, no, they're not. All right. I don't know the bottom 2, though. John Carney, I mean, I've heard the name, but I don't really know him.
Yeah.
And then Hansen.
I mean, kickers could kick for 25 years and not be on a winning team.
Right.
And
you'd never know.
Well, Morton Anderson played for the New Orleans Saints when they were the Aints for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if he played anywhere else. I don't think he
But
did.
he still got his points.
He did because they were kicking field goals all the time because they couldn't get in the end zone.
True.
That's what his story was. Gary Anderson. God, I think Gary Anderson kicked for the Pats for a little while. Not positive.
Sounds familiar.
I don't know.
Well, thanks again, Jonathan. I love your games.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, I guess that's going to do it for us. Next week, I think we're. I don't know if we're on next week.
Yeah, we'll
We
figure
might
it out.
not.
It
We'll
is
have to figure
Thanksgiving
that
week.
out.
If we don't see you,
We have parent
happy
conferences.
Thanksgiving to all of you.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we will see you possibly next week, but probably not.
Go Knights.
Have a good week.